It was Saturday afternoon. The telephone poles, embedded at the edge of the river in the built-up concrete fieldstone bank, snapped by his window so fast that, after a while, Dewey, 18 now and returning home from his first year up north at college, stopped trying to think the mounting total, gave up his counting to watch the train race ahead of the river's current. But soon, as he had done many times in the months since he received it, he began to think of Tucker's letter. He was still not certain he understood what Tucker meant. Not that the letter communicated many deep or complex thoughts. It was the simplest of letters. Rather, it brought up a subject and a time he could hardly remember, and he knew in order to understand what Tucker meant he had to remember, examine that time, that day, and not only this, but also the feelings he had experienced that day. He wished those feelings were written down someplace where he could pull them out to read and know them perfectly. And so again he reviewed the particular day Tucker mentioned, and still he could not understand. Tucker's message, written in a code he could not remember or had never known, evaded him. He started again, took the letter from the now shredded envelope, unfolded the yellow copy paper, and read the typed words, dictated to Bethra, he was sure, and signed in the hand not of a 22-year-old man, but of a 14-year-old boy, the age Tucker had dropped from school. Dear Dewey, I hope you're well. I'm fine myself. So is Bethra. So is the baby. The reason I wrote is because I wanted to ask you if you remember when I taught you to ride a bike. That was a very important day for you. I remember you wanted to learn a lot. I'm glad I could teach you. But you would have learned anyway, because you wanted to learn so much. When you were home for Christmas, you wanted me to write you. Well, I wanted to ask you about the bike. Sincerely yours, Tucker Caliban. It was as futile this time as it had been all the other times, and Dewey was still puzzled and disappointed. But he would be home soon and would ask Tucker himself to explain the letter, though it meant he would have to admit his intellect did not possess the lightning snatch he prided himself it possessed. The train entered the tunnels leading to the New Marseilles Municipal Depot. The darkness was lit in round patches by dim bulbs and steel shades. Men worked by lantern with picks and shovels, and one, the foreman, held a blood-colored lamp and waved it as the train went by. Dewey got to his feet, stretched, searched for the tangled arms of his suit coat and the cigarettes he was certain he had left in his breast pocket. And then it was once again late afternoon, and the roar of the tunnel was replaced by the murmuring in the car. Afterwards, when Dewey thought of how the station had looked that afternoon, he could not remember whether he had taken notice of the great number of Negroes on the platform, in the colored waiting room, could not remember the many thoughtful dark faces of the men, or that they wore newly pressed suits and clean shirts, or that most of them carried chipped leather suitcases, or frayed cloth carpet bags, or shopping bags crammed with clothing, sheets, blankets, and pictures. Could not remember the women in their summer dresses carrying sweaters and coats, their own and their children's, or the picnic baskets in the crooks of their arms, or the walking shoes cleaned until the scars and scratches were hidden. Could not remember the scampering, skipping children running ahead of their parents, or the littler ones hanging on to their mothers' dresses. Could not remember the babies sleeping in the grown-ups' arms or on the benches. Could not remember the old people hobbling proudly on canes or sitting quietly waiting for the trains to be called. Could not remember that the Negroes spoke in whispers, avoided the glances of white people, and tried not to be remembered. He remembered there had been Negroes. There had always been Negroes at the depot, the porters in their gray suits and red hats. But he had not taken notice of the many others there that day, or that most of them were boarding outgoing trains. All he could really remember was looking through the dirt-streaked window, finding his family amid the crowds as the train's air brakes threw him forward, and his happiness at seeing Dimphna, his sister, whom he was old enough now to appreciate and like, for the first time since Christmas. His disappointment at not seeing Tucker and Bethra anywhere on the platform, and finally his surprise, no, it was a far more wrenching sensation than that, his utter shock at seeing his parents, his mother and father, smiling at one another and holding hands as gleefully as teenagers. When he had left home after a dreary Christmas holiday, his mother had been muttering constantly about getting a divorce.